Does the Axiom resemble the ISS 2.0 more than the next generation Phoenix? The ability to build their new station on the back of the current space station is Axiom's major advantage. In 2026, Axiom will become the first and only commercial corporation permitted to dock its module at the International Space Station. Axiom will then continue to send over a new module every year after that until they have essentially developed a self-sufficient space station that can depart from the old one, like a young bird leaving its nest. The nest will fall to Earth's atmosphere in this instance, where it will burn up. Welcome to Door to the Universe, an oasis of cosmic exploration. If you find yourself enraptured by such captivating content, we warmly invite you to consider subscribing to our channel. That raises the question of why this particular corporation received such a great and exclusive deal. What distinguishes Axiom from other commercial space transportation firms is that they are a nepotistic offspring. Therefore, most of these new generation aerospace firms started by athletic young men who are motivated to revolutionize society and rewrite space travel. The first thing you'll notice when looking at the Axiom Space Team roster is old dude. Nothing wrong with that. But it's important to note that the people in command of the new space station are also in charge of the previous one. Michael Suffredini, the CEO of Axiom, previously worked for NASA and oversaw the International Space Station's mission from 2005 to 2015. He handled the station's transition from construction to use in commerce. Dr. Kam Ghaffarian, a co-founder of Axiom, oversaw the second-largest engineering services contractor for NASA, which was in charge of instructing astronauts and managing the operation of the International Space Station. As you move down the list, you'll notice that most of the Axiom leadership are former NASA officials who have transitioned to the private sector. They now have the exceptional chance to construct a brand new space station on top of the one they previously constructed 20. Punctuation has once more been introduced to improve readability and clarity. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but when it comes to space travel, we do have a propensity to overvalue or undervalue experience. Anyway, a fascinating aspect of the story isn't generally highlighted. The fact that Axiom Space already has a lot of work in progress excites me the most. Axiom has started building on its first module, which will function in low Earth orbit, while most other space station plans are still in the computer rendering state. That is a significant lead, although it's more likely to happen in 2026. HAB 1-inch could launch as soon as the end of 2025. This module's function is to offer 4 crew members living quarters and a little extra space so they can work on small-scale research projects. The Axiom crew quarters offer a significantly higher level of comfort than the current ISS, which is the first thing you'll notice. The individual pods give each member of the Axiom crew their room with a touchscreen display, LED illumination, and their window with a view of Earth, and they are more like Japanese capsule hotels. The French architect Philippe Starck, who created these sleeping pods, claims he was motivated to develop a nest, a comfortable and friendly egg, using components and hues drawn from the embryonic cosmos. That has a Kubrick Space Odyssey vibe. The walls are covered in hundreds of nano LEDs that can change colors as a continuation of the view of the cosmos through the enormous windows, continues Starck. The egg will respond to its osmotic inhabitant's mood and biorhythm, just like all day and night's different lights and hues do. I don't know what that implies, but it does sound cool. This Axiom module will dock to the ISS Harmony module's forward port and permanently stay on the space station. Then there is Axiom HAB 2, which will likely launch a year after HAB 1-inch and will almost quadruple the size of the first module, bringing the total number of crew members in the Axiom sector of the ISS to 8. This second module will also incorporate a robotic manipulator in the form of a Canadarm and a separate life support system for the Axiom. The adjacent building is the Axiom Research and Manufacturing Facility. To begin constructing an L shape, it will dock to the side port of HAB 2, providing access to the special microgravity environment of low Earth orbit as a platform for cutting-edge research, product development, process optimization, and manufacturing is the premise behind this one. The following addition to the Axiom section is more of an awesome accessory than a new module. Their Earth Observatory is a glass dome large enough to house a whole person. It will be fixed to the underside of HAB 2 and provide a roughly 360-degree view of the Earth and the universe. A power thermal module will be the Axiom Station's finishing touch. It will be connected to Axiom's unique solar panel array to power the segment and control the climate. This provides more storage and payload room. The Axiom segment of the ISS may now separate from the main station and function as a standalone platform thanks to these 4 modules and one incredibly ostentatious window. Therefore, the Axiom Station concept is one of the top 4 commercial space station proposals that NASA supports financially. To assist in developing other low Earth orbit destinations, they have also awarded development contracts to Blue Origin, NanoRacks, and Northrop Grumman. Axiom Space is the only business that has been given the extremely sweet honor of building its station on top of the already existing ISS. As we have mentioned, NASA must have a platform to operate in low Earth orbit in the future. They are looking at 2030 as the year when the ISS will finally need to be decommissioned and deorbited because it has already passed its best before date. Therefore, NASA is prepared to work with the private space industry, but they must also ensure that their interests come first. It will be a new frontier, and nobody knows how someone like Blue Origin can manage a space station. NASA sees itself in Axiom. In fact, Axiom is NASA. These are the same individuals who oversaw the ISS over the previous 10 years. To continue that experience into the following 10 years, they left their public sector employment and entered the private sector. Therefore, we are confident that NASA and Axiom will work well together. So Axiom has been given the green light to cooperate with NASA on board the International Space Station immediately. This was clarified in an interview with Axiom's Senior Director of In-Space Solutions earlier this year. He says, "We're working with NASA to make sure that we follow all of the requirements that the ISS has today so that we can build our models for the future to those requirements." The fact that Axiom was the first private corporation to launch a crew of private citizens to the ISS aboard Ax-1 in April 2021 is, therefore, also not surprising. In May of this year, they carried out the mission once more with Ax-2, an 8-day trip to the ISS that was privately funded. Axiom is collaborating with SpaceX, the Crew Dragon, and Falcon 9 rocket to do this. Who are these astronauts and exactly what are they doing in space? Axiom has ensured that their private space passengers aren't just up there obstructing things or treating the ISS like a space hotel. 3 paying customers, real estate mogul Larry Connor, CEO of a Canadian company Mark Pathy, and Israeli investor Eitan Stiba, made up the crew of Ax-1, including an experienced NASA astronaut serving as a mission commander. For a spot, each reportedly paid $55 million. 25 scientific experiments were created for microgravity, and up to 12 pre- and post-flight experiments were completed during their week in space. Each affluent participant was permitted to bring a research topic related to their philanthropic and personal interest. This strategy provides a mechanism to launch significance that might not have had the chance to do so otherwise. Other than that, Ax-2 had a slightly more varied cast. This trip also contained John Schaffner, an extremely rich race car who desired to be a space pilot. Their former astronaut, the Saudi Space Commission members Ali Al-Karni and Rayana Barnawi, were also this flight. This means that these private missions are assisting in increasing global access to space. Quite wonderful. Since the Axiom Station will continue the ISS, it must also act as the first space hotel, in addition to its other purposes. The large window is there for that reason. Let's not pretend that this is anything other than a marketing gimmick created to persuade billionaires to spend a lot of money on space travel to see this vista for themselves. That is all for this video. We will be back soon with another informative video. Don't forget to like and share this video. Until next time.